Hey everybody, it's Friday here at Rebel News. This is the Rebel Roundup. I'm your host, Sheila Gunn Reid, and I am actually not in my home studio. I'm in the studio in Toronto because I'm here for the Student Journalism Conference hosted by the Democracy Fund. But I thought since I'm in Toronto, let's host a live stream before I have to run off. Now, Friday is a panel show. And before I bring in the panel, oh, never mind, we brought them in. But I'll tell everybody real quick how they can get involved in the show. If you are watching us on Rumble, thanks for supporting a great free speech platform. If you want to have your voice heard, might you consider leaving a Rumble rant? That's their paid chat over there. If it's over the $5 US cutoff, we'll read it on air. Anything under that, we'll do our best, time permitting. But I should tell you that I have a hard out today, and so does one of our panelists, Drea Humphrey. If you're watching us on YouTube, we remain miraculously remonetized over there, and you can leave a YouTube super chat. Same rules apply, but also if you are moved by the spirit to support the work that we do here after the fact, so you don't get to catch the live version of the show, you can leave a super thanks. That's their paid comment over there. Let's bring in the panel now. I hinted at one of them. This is my friend Drea Humphrey. She is on location at Universal Ostrich Farms in Edgewood, British Columbia, and it's a real jaunt to get there no matter where you're coming from. Drea's in BC, and it's still very onerous. It's not in the middle of nowhere, but it's sure trying. She's there on location in her camper van with her Starlink that looks great. And then the gents on the bottom of the screen, you know him, you love him. It's independent journalist Dacey in Ottawa. And then we also have someone you may know on the internet as Right Blend, John Villeneuve. He's also in Ottawa. Both of these gentlemen are following, I don't know what to call it, the CFIA standoff in Edgewood very closely. In fact, Chris, I think you're headed out very shortly to join Drea on the ground, which I think is amazing because, you know, I think Drea, you need all the help you can get there. We're deploying a videographer tonight to go help you. And then as soon as I'm done in Toronto, I'm headed to help you. It's such a big story and things are happening fast. And a lot of what you're doing there is actually weeding through the rumors because there's a lot of that too. Mm-hmm. Drea, can you give us a quick update about what's happening at the Ostrich farm?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, Ezra is also coming out today. So it's going to be lots of rebels on the ground. And you're right. You know, one of the things we do is make sure that what isn't true isn't spreading like wildfire here. So there was some happy news celebrated yesterday. And I was like, not sure if that's what that means legally. So I didn't put it out right away, but I got out there. So it is false that they had an extended sort of leave until the 7th. That's kind of what was going around online yesterday, but no, that is not accurate. And but what is accurate and what is unfortunate is that many of the birds, like, they just don't look good. They're not coming around. Their owners, of course, they've got that big blue super safe fence blocking everything off. So not only can the owners not care for them while they're looking at them, the birds just don't look right. They're moving slower than normal. They're not playing. They used to like play with balls and stuff. They're not mating from what we can see. So now they can't even really see them. They're not coming. That's the spot right there where I used to always be, right up there with so many ostriches. And what happened yesterday is they started, the CFIA, who's supposed to be on this stay until the Supreme Court makes its decision, they've started to herd many of them into that hay kill box. I don't know if they're just familiarizing themselves, you know, maybe they're feeding them in there, but that seems to be where most of the birds are hanging out. So that's very stressful, obviously. Once again, I'm testing to see how scared I am of heights. So this is me on a scaffold. Never done that before. But this is how you have to, you know, climb to new heights in order just to see them. And yeah, so that part's depressing, but everybody here, the farmers, are counting on a miracle Friday. Sheila knows a little bit about this. She saw a miracle take place.
I did.
When they got the last second stay. So they are really hoping for a miracle Friday today. However, it's the Supreme Court in Ottawa. So 2 p.m. PST, my time, is basically, you know, for them, it's a miracle if they don't get a decision and the birds
Right.
get to live longer, or it's a miracle if they get, yes, the green light, you guys get your leave, you can pursue a case in Supreme Court, and let's watch the CFIA march off of the property after they just wasted millions of tax dollars.
Yeah, I mean, no news is good news.
Yeah.
By 2 o'clock PST, that means that the judges are not going to issue a decision today, which means that the birds will live through the weekend, which no news is good news. Now, Chris, why are you going?
Yeah, I mean, I've been following this pretty closely since the start. And I mean, for one, I've become kind of emotionally invested. But also, I mean, this has got to be by far the biggest story that I've covered in ages. I was hitting like 5 million impressions a day or something like that covering this. And I mean, I cover a lot of pretty exciting stuff and I get some pretty big hits on stuff. But this was bringing in such a wide audience, you know, new followers, people that normally wouldn't be interacting with my stuff. And it's picked up everywhere. And I know I have the opportunity to go. I've been trying to cover it, you know, talking to people there and whatnot, but being on the ground really makes a difference. And I want to be able to wade through some of these deeper issues and get a real, you know, a real personal idea of what's going on so I can relay that to my followers and, you know, the world at large, hopefully.
Well, and I think people trust you. They really trust the work that you do, documenting government overreach, protests, and I think this actually has both of those aspects there. John, what has been your interest in this story? Like, I know why I'm interested. I'm a farmer, and so I care about government overreach. I care about, I care about livestock, even though I don't like ostriches. Although these ones are fine. Don't write me letters. People do. But what has been your interest in this? Is it, you know, like this story is like nothing I've seen since the convoy.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. That's exactly it. And I made a video the other day talking about it a little bit. It's the government overreach. It's the things that we're seeing with the court process and the preference the courts have for the government's arguments, the nonsensical nature of the whole thing, the cruelty of it, right? Not even being able to test these animals and threatening the owners, Karen and Katie and the whole bunch over there, for even attempting to, with massive astronomical fines. I think it would be $80 million if they were to test their whole flock, something like that, right? 200,000 a pop or something. So the interest is that it's the ostriches, but it's also what it represents. This is the government coming in there full force, taking over this farm, building this ridiculous hay kill structure like you've been talking about on these people. This is their property.
Right.
They own it. It's theirs. And they're coming in there and they're building this crazy hay contraption, blocking eyesight, making so people have to go up on these lifts to get even a view of it. So it's just such a ridiculous and terrifying story. And that's why I think it's captured the attention of the nation. It's not just about these wonderful animals. It's also about the fact that this is a total violation of their rights, freedoms, fairness in court. It's got everything.
Right. Like it's about the complete and total lack of due process. I think the lack of scientific rigor here by an alleged scientific agency in favor of completely unbending government policy that is not supported by the facts. They're not even willing to support their findings by saying, okay, fine, we'll test the birds, you know, but they're not going to do that. There have been 9 million birds culled. These birds could hold the cure for the next 9 million birds culled, and yet they refuse to even consider that could be something that they need to do here. Drea, you've got, you had a quick little back and forth with Dave Belinsky, one of the ostrich farmers there. The poor man has just been put through the ringer. Like when I was on the ground there, I just saw like Dave is pulled in a million different directions. He's worried about the Pisitnis. He's worried about his livestock. He says he didn't want any of this. Like he doesn't want to be in a dispute with the government. Let's watch this.
You know, right now, it's very confrontational with the CFIA. But if we go back to the beginning of this, we gave them our business plan right at the start. We offered to work with them. We offered them all of Tsukamoto's H5N1 antibodies that he's got in storage. We wanted to work with the government. We are not confrontational. And we want to get back to that position where we can work with the government. But this ridiculous situation where they do not have to test, and it's written right in the court documents that says the CFIA does not have to test. They can come on your farm with a suspicion that you have a disease and order to cull without testing. So you get a bureaucrat basically with that authority. It's just so wrong. It's insanity. But that's where we are evolving to in this country, and it's the wrong direction. We have to wake up. Everybody has to wake up to what the facts are.
Drea, I'll get you to react to that, but this is just an extension of everything we see with this government. It's a complete and total lack of evidence-based policies. We saw it during COVID. We're seeing it with the firearms bans, where there's no evidence that anything that they're doing will actually make a difference. And now we're seeing it with avian flu, but it's avian flu now. It could be swine flu next time. It could be whatever the next iteration of COVID is. They have these unbending rules, and they'll just impose them on you, your property rights, and even animal welfare be damned. Because, like, where's PETA on this stuff?
Well, you're absolutely right. And I think what we're also seeing when I'm looking into more recently, and I'll get a report out, is a bias between how this is handled by the CFIA in the West versus the East, such as Quebec. I'm seeing that, you know, that 9 million figure you quoted is just British Columbia alone, just in the last 3 years. But then when there are these outbreaks happening out east in Quebec and things like that, for some reason, it doesn't seem to be as heavy-handed as this. And these farmers welcomed the CFIA on their property. You know, they did everything right. They had gone to the vet. The vet thought it was a sickness that the animals, most of them had before, in particular because so many of them weren't acting sick, and the younger ones were the ones. So there's no science at the top of the CFIA as well. And even the veterinarian, you have the head veterinarian coming out and telling the CBC a couple of weeks ago that, oh, you know, based on those samples from 10 months ago, we now have further evidence that it's some sort of mutant strain. I mean, this is all nonsense, but at the end of the day, it's communism in Canada, what we're seeing here. They're not just their property, not just their land, their livelihoods are getting wiped out. And this agency doesn't have to answer to anyone, including questions in Parliament are not getting answered. The Prime Minister's deflecting on this. I mean, you have elected officials across the political spectrum at least saying, why aren't you retesting them? And this agency's going, because we don't have to.
Yeah, I mean, and nobody actually believes these birds are dangerous. I know for a fact the RCMP don't, because they're leaning on the fence down there. They're not trying to keep people away from the birds. You can go right up to the fence. Nobody actually thinks these birds are a problem except the government, because these birds are a symbol of something we're supposed to forget, and that's natural immunity. John, I'll go to you.
Yeah, a couple things here, because you brought up some amazing points. First and foremost, the CFIA put out an update recently where they were talking about the situation on the farm, and in their update they mentioned 2 animals with pre-existing conditions, but what they were talking about was leg injuries. So I noticed a lack of any comment about any kind of illness or flu. And so I'll land that there, but also want to quickly mention Elizabeth May came out and said that she's less supportive of the cause because MAGA Americans support it, which is...
I'm going to stop you. We've got that clip. So finish your thought and then we'll show it.
Sure. I'll
she's
skip
crazy.
ahead that. I'll leave that for now because I'm sure we'll get there. But another thing I want to mention, you're talking about the hysteria and the COVID. The comments online from people are crazy. The people who are just blindly in support of whatever the government's position is because they want to see the people they don't like hurt. You're seeing, you know, the comments about that woman neighbor there. I'm sure we'll get to that as well. who was allegedly assaulted, and saying that, this is the farm doing it, which clearly is not the farm doing this. It's, whoever it may be. But no care or attention from the media or the police towards the people shooting the farm's birds. So we'll talk about that too, I'm sure. But yeah, those are a couple of thoughts for consideration.
Yeah, very good.
Chris, you're headed there. Are you scared of contracting the avian flu when you get there?
I'm certainly not scared of catching anything. And honestly, like, people have told me to be safe in that. I honestly think I'll probably be safer out there than what I'm normally doing. I'm certainly not afraid of the flu or any of that. I've watched the way these guys interact and their quarantine procedures. I've also watched the videos of how the farm handled this prior, right? And videos of them disinfecting their trucks coming in and out. Meanwhile, you have people changing beside ostriches, handing over feathers to people. So I'm not really scared of that. And I mean, as far as other concerns or threats, I don't have any concerns like that. I don't think the police will be after me there. And they're trying to kill ostriches, not me this time. But,
and you know what? I got to tell you, and again, some people have written me letters saying, how dare you say this, Sheila? But I've encountered some bad police in my day. And Chris, I know you have too. These are not that. These are the friendliest police getting yelled at constantly. Their police checkpoint is just doing a head count. They don't search vehicles. They're letting everybody in. They're letting everybody back out. They're just there at the behest of the CFIA. Let's show this clip.
I should just quickly say that the yelling has stopped. I think that was the first couple of days. And now I'm seeing, the cops shaking hands with people and stuff like that. So I think it was really heated at first.
It was, because I think we were coming right down to the wire on bird murder or not. And the CFIA, they're real rough with these birds. Like, these are not chickens. These are not geese. These are not turkeys. These are exotic livestock. And just on the outside looking in, frankly, I don't think they have the expertise to be in care and control of these birds right now. And I know that has been the farmers' concern too, Drea.
It took 2 days. 2 days of the farmers begging for a vet to finally show up here to care for the injured hen that was injured because the RCMP's drones were too low. I mean, that is not humane whatsoever. They should have a vet on site 24/7 for nearly 400 ostriches. Like, what are they thinking? And so it's just been one of many, and Dave had to basically beg to get in there to give them. They wouldn't let him in, but he was begging to get in to help care for the animals, because if they're injured, it's usually Dave or Karen who does it. And they didn't, according to Dave, they didn't know to give the bird electrolytes. They couldn't even tell she's dehydrated. And then there's a couple of other birds that needed constant care too from being injured from a couple of weeks back when helicopters flew too low. So they don't know what they're doing. I have a report coming up on that. I also have a report about what John mentioned about the neighbor, because I was here when that was all happening. People were like, Drea, why are you hiding the neighbor? I'm like, no, you don't understand. That was happening at the exact moment that the CFIA and the cops showed up. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So it was like this whodunit thing. And I did send it to our producer, and he's trying to catch our lives, and he's going, I'm so confused about what you sent. And I'm saying, I'm still confused about what I sent. So that's coming out, especially now that I know more things. But you're absolutely right, John, to say that, the farmers have invited anybody, to come here and stand with them peacefully. That's always been their message. They've had, I would say over 1,000, maybe a couple thousand come and go. And so they don't have control over who really is here, but they make it clear every day. They have these meetings, it's about peace. So yeah.
Let's go. Sorry, go ahead before we go to Elizabeth.
Yeah, sorry, I just want to finish this up in case we lose this, but you're commenting on the RCMP being very kind, and I'm noting that too, but I'm just kind of worried about what their mentality and their shift will be when they move from that nice, let's chat and handshake mode to public order, keep you back while we finish off the birds mode. And, I'm seeing videos from Sergeant Mike Rood over there. He's a veteran. He's his dog, I think, was in one of the cruisers over there, and he's meeting a couple RCMP who are vets. So it's very cordial, but I'm worried about what will happen when that operation shifts over to the public order mode. I'm hoping everyone stays safe, and I hope we don't see a repeat of stuff in Ottawa.
Yeah. No, you're right.
You're right. And I think that comes down to both sides trying to keep peaceful, right? But let's, I was going to say both sides keep their heads, but let's go to a lady who's obviously lost hers a long time ago. She's a recidivist on this kind of stuff. Good old Liz May. And the greatest irony here in her anti-Americanism is the fact that she's an American. Like she's an import. But she would support the ostriches, except she saw one of them wear a red hat. So let's watch this crazy clip. What a crazy, crazy bird.
As a BC MP, I'm just curious what your take is on the ostrich situation at Universal Ostrich Farms. What's your party's position on that?
Well, I wrote the Minister of Health in so long ago now, a very different Minister of Health. It was January 2025. That I wrote to say, look, can't we get the Canadian Food Inspection Agency to redo the tests? That will remove a lot of the either anxiety, divisions. One wants to know why not redo the tests. It's not that difficult to redo the tests, but CFIA is refusing. So I think CFIA could help themselves potentially by doing independent testing. Do these birds have traces of avian flu? And it's become such a divisive issue. I must say most of my constituents who write me want that ostrich cull not to happen. And they want to, and I want to know, I'm not saying whether it should or shouldn't happen, but why not get the evidence? Why not, and this is our position as a party, why not redo the testing and verify the health of that flock of ostriches before engaging in what many see as animal cruelty? And I can't imagine, this is absolutely astonishing to me, that an animal welfare issue in Canada has garnered the attention of MAGA-type billionaires in the United States, which makes me sympathize with the ostriches less. But that doesn't matter. What matters is we get our facts first, and we don't have all the facts because CFIA has refused to do the testing.
She had like a rare moment of moral clarity there where all of her brain cells, two of them were rubbing together properly and she was making sense. And then she just had to keep going. And she was like, oh,
you know
RFK winked at one of them and now they got to die. Like, crazy lady.
Unpopular opinion, I actually like what she said. You know, she's Elizabeth May. I'm not going to expect her to do any more than that. But she quickly said it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And that's the thing about this is they can't do what they normally do when they excuse government overreach and keep the vast majority quiet about it. They can't vilify the ostriches. They can't do that with animals. They can't make them mega ostriches. So even she's like, well, that doesn't matter. And every time I watch Elizabeth May say something silly, I end up watching her drunk on the stage or whatever that was. And
right.
I don't know. She brings joy to my life. So.
It always could be worse with Liz. I'll go to Chris.
Yeah, that's surprising. I can't believe that I'm agreeing with Elizabeth May on something, but I mean, she couldn't, like you say, she couldn't go all the way. You know, you hit on the things earlier. The biggest thing for me is this government bureaucracy. Unelected officials, government bureaucrats, seem to have unlimited power in our country. There's no recourse really to stop them in real time. And it's not just with these ostriches, property rights, firearms, but these bureaucrats basically run the show. And there's zero transparency. And I really don't know what we do about that. Like, we need to have some sort of recourse to stop this kind of thing in real time. And we don't have that. And we don't seem to have any recourse after the fact either. The government does break the law. The issue is moot by the time we get around to it. And then how do we prevent this kind of thing from happening again?
Yeah, well, in the new country, it's not going to be my problem. What you people get up to in Ontario. John, go ahead.
Well, you know that we're in trouble as a country when Elizabeth May is making sense. That's where all, you know, you said it best. She's very disliking of America, especially the current government. Maybe she likes other governments there more, but she is making sense on this. And it's surprising, well, actually not surprising, that her constituents are letting her know they don't want this to happen. So she's basically being compelled to come out in their favor. She is their representative. That's how our system's supposed to work. And she's not whipped as a one member of a one person sitting party. I guess she can say whatever she wants, and she often takes liberty to do that. Like I said, I think we're in trouble as a country when she's making sense. And like Chris said, there's no recourse here. Right. Every level, the federal court of appeal, and now to the Supreme Court of Canada with Justice Wagner, who I'm not extraordinarily hopeful about, there is no recourse. No. Like, this is the government coming in and doing whatever they want. They can destroy 30 years of your work at the blink of a hat, no testing, no evidence, and then people will cheer for it because MAGA Americans think that it's stupid, because
Right.
it is. So.
Well, and we saw the CFIA, they used to have somebody akin to an ombudsman there, I think it was the chief redress officer, and they were finding that nearly one out of every 3 complaints levied against the CFIA for their decisions was founded, and that many times they had to reverse those decisions. So instead of saying, oh my goodness, we have an institutional problem with the CFIA where 1/3 of their decisions are wrong, instead of looking internally at the CFIA and saying, what can we do to address these wrong decisions and change the culture here? You know what the Liberals did? They just got rid of that position. The chief redress officer, they're like, we're getting too many complaints. You know what we should do? Get rid of the guy handling them. And then everything's fine and everything's fixed. We've got, before I let you guys go, because I know we're over time, but you know, I'm going to take a little bit more of your time. Karen from Universal Ostrich Farms, I think she's on a phone call here. She's receiving confirmation that the CFIA believes that they should cull these birds before an official decision. So let's watch this and then I'll just get everybody's quick comments on it.
You are expecting what the outcome is. Okay. Bye.
What was that?
We need to put CFIA exactly where they need to be put, in check. This organization feels that they are greater than the Supreme Court of Canada, that they are still positioning the birds and putting them in the position to be killed immediately. They are assuming they know the outcome of what the Supreme Court of Canada. So are they thinking they're better than Supreme Court, that they're going to for sure win? The Supreme Court has not decided what is happening. We are on a stay order, and yet I just get a phone call that they've got a whole bunch of birds herded in a little circle right in the kill pen waiting. It's animal cruelty. It's anguish to the families. This is terrorism, and this is such disrespect to our Canadian government of justice that this company thinks they're better than the Supreme Court of Canada now.
Amen. Amen.
You know, though, Drea, and you and I were there, it was a real concern that they were going to begin the cull of the birds as quickly as possible, because they were racing that stay order. They were trying to beat the stay order.
Well, and that's the problem to begin with. Why were they even there in the first place when their lawyer, the farm's lawyer, made it very clear to the CFIA that this was the path that the farm was going to take? So you have this government agency above the law, thinks they're above the Supreme Court, that says, I don't care. I'm going to waste all of the taxpayers' dollars. I'm going to waste all of the resources on the RCMP, who should be out here busting drug labs that are making 10-year-olds leading cause of death in British Columbia, overdoses. I'm going to do all of that and bring all of that to this farm, terrorize in some ways the family, on hopefully this happens. It's horrible. I don't know if there's an emergency happening, so I'm just going to step out.
Okay, yeah. I'll go to the guys. You let me know.
It could be nothing. It could be something. But
it's the ostrich farm. There's always something happening. It's madness there. Guys, I think the CFIA recognizes something that we all recognize, and that is the courts in this country are completely captured by the left. They're activist courts that generally, despite the Constitution, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, always side with the government. Very rarely do they do the right thing as decreed in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. I'll go to Chris first.
Yeah, this is the case broadly too, right? We have CFIA acting like this, captured government, like everything's captured. The police all act one way. I mean, it's really concerning. Like this is exposing, you know, this specific issue is on the farm, but it's exposing much larger issues. The capture exists everywhere. And I think these dangers and this bureaucracy run amok is dangerous in any bureaucracy. It's going to come at you from some way. Right now, it's it's this farm and it's poultry, but it could be any other farm. Later, it could be who knows what, your pets, us.
Yeah.
So it's quite concerning.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, the outcome of a judicial proceeding. Oh, sorry.
Have to go. Something's going on, and they're telling me I need to go.
I've got it from here, Drea.
Bye.
Thank you. See you soon.
Uh-oh. I hope Chris makes it in time there. I think the outcome of the judicial proceeding should not depend on which judge you get. It should depend on the letter of the law and the judicial rules and the common law. It should not depend on the flavor of the judge you get. And unfortunately, that's how the system works. Your outcome totally depends on who you get. And I know that from cases here in Ottawa, when sometimes defense lawyers, I would overhear conversations when a client would get some certain judge and be like, they'd know already basically how the case may proceed. And it's very troubling that our judiciary is not where you can go before the court and have an outcome based on the facts and the law instead of maybe a reputation or something other. So that's extremely alarming. I'm very disturbed to hear about the developments on the ostrich farm. Every day we kind of have to hold our breath whenever something happens, because you never know if it's going to be a crisis, if now's the time. So I'm really worried about that. And you mentioned earlier the CFIA ombudsman, who I think you said was gotten rid of. Well, the parliamentary budget officer just said that the government's deficit spending is unsustainable. That's a crisis word, right? Unsustainable, meaning the country can't afford it. There is no money for this. And if you do it, you're going to put us underwater more than we already are. We're not going to have money to pay for the things we actually need. So this country's in crisis in multiple ways. This government is totally out of touch. Mark Carney is flying around the world, rubbing shoulders with Keir Starmer and other idiots about things like digital ID, when people here at home are starving and suffering, and we have government mobilizing to take out these birds when they should be looking for missing children at the border of Alberta and BC, and other things like Drea mentioned, the super labs. All of this stuff the government puts on the back burner to chase their political rivals, to do stupidity, to go and push forward global agendas that have no purpose that are good for Canadians other than controlling us and maybe putting us in jail for our speech. And one more thing, the veterinarian you mentioned earlier, we were talking about that, the vet that was on the farm possibly. I know the CFIA made careful mention of a vet in their statement, saying the farm has not told us who their vet was. And I think that also goes to this, is that if any vet were to go to the farm and say something contrary to the CFIA's mantra, I presume that they would face some professional penalties, and that's the country we're in now. Yeah, there's actually a vet who's in the supporter side, who's there all the time, and if I recall correctly, I think she's retired, and so that gives her sort of a little bit of benefit to speak out on this stuff, but she is still licensed with her licensing body. So I mean, she can't be any less of an expert than those people dragging the ostriches by their neck I see in the pen there. Guys, I'll let you go, but before I do, I want to assure people that we're going to follow Drea's X account very closely to see if we have any updates on the ostriches as they come in, why she had to jump off the call, but I'll finish up the show without her. Gents, tell us where we can find your work and support your work. Let's start with Chris. Yeah, all my work basically will be up on X at Chris Dacey on X, or search Dacey Media. You should find me. And how do people support you? Because you're going to be out of pocket for this trip to the ostrich farm. People, if people want to support me directly, you can do so by e-transfer to daceymedia@gmail.com. I'll link that on my X page. Or alternately, you could buy Dacey Media merch. It's available exclusively through the Veterans for Freedom shop. Excellent. Thank you, Chris. Hopefully you're still there when I get there. Hopefully the ostriches are still there when I get there. Yeah, jeez. Right. And John, how do people find you, support the work that you do? You can find me on X, Facebook, TikTok, or YouTube, Right Blend. You'll be able to find me, like Chris said, just look it up. I'll be there. October 7th, I'll be there covering the verdict, the sentencing for Tamara and Chris. So if you want to support my longstanding work in the courts, you can send an e-transfer to realrightblend@gmail.com. Otherwise, thank you very much for the time and going around on that. Thanks. No problem. Thanks, guys. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, and we'll have you back on very soon. Let's hit an ad break and then finish up the rest of the things on the list.
Hey, Toronto Rebel News fans, listen up. Rebel News is celebrating 10 years of fearless journalism with our 10th birthday bash, and you're invited to join us. Last week, hundreds of Rebel fans packed our Calgary party for an unforgettable night of music, food, and fun. Now it's Toronto's turn. Join us on Thursday, October 16th at 6 p.m. near Black Creek and Lawrence for a night you will not forget. Expect a lively evening with Rebel News journalists and crew, past and present, cocktails, hors d'oeuvres, and of course, a birthday cake.
Happy birthday, Rebel. Happy birthday. Happy 10 years, Rebel. There you go. That's what we're talking about there.
A fun photo booth with keepsakes and a full-on celebration of free speech, independent media, and the community that made it all possible.
Keep doing what you're doing. You guys are doing fantastic.
Keep at it. You guys have made change as far as I can see. Happy birthday, Rebel News. Let's keep going.
Keep up the good work and keep fighting for freedom. Just keep on doing what you're doing.
We'll also be holding a silent auction, including private lunches with yours truly, Ezra and Alexa. This isn't just a party, it's a celebration of what we built together. 10 years of telling the other side of the story and standing up for freedom. Tickets are going fast. Grab yours now at happybirthdayrebel.com before early bird pricing ends at midnight on Friday, October the 3rd. And if you want the ultimate Rebel experience, get a VIP ticket. That includes dinner with Rebel journalists before the party. Space is limited, so secure your spot right now. Hello! We'll see you there, Toronto.
All right, we're back. Let's, I don't have Drea with me as the co-host on the show. She had to run off because news was breaking on the Ostrich farm. We're gonna watch for that out of the corner of our eyes and continue on with the rest of the show. What do we have next? Let's go into CBC being just awful. As you know, Alexa Lavoie potentially found the Antifa smoke bomber of a church in Montreal that was hosting American Christian worship leader Sean Feucht. He did it on camera. He did it wearing very distinctive shoes, by the way, some New Balance dad shoes. Pay attention to those when you watch clips of Alexa's work here, because when she confronts that man, as you can see there, when she confronts him again on the street, he's wearing the exact same shoes. There he is, whipping it in. Watch, look at his build. His name is Gabriel Lepage, and he works at the Department of National Defense. So for all intents and purposes, we potentially have a terror cell, Antifa, working at the Department of National Defense. When Alexa did the work the SPVM didn't do, or for that matter, any other journalist in this country, she was attacked by Antifa on the street. So Dominic Lepage proved that he was Antifa linked because he texted his Antifa friends to come over and physically assault a woman on the street, which should appall and outrage anybody, but, you know, like particularly men and perhaps other journalists. You sort of should prickle at the idea of a woman being attacked by a man, especially for just doing her job. And the crybabies in the mainstream media, they won't shut up about mean tweets. But let's look at what they had to say about Alexa being attacked on the street and her admirable journalism work, because this took a lot of work and a lot of sources trusted her with their information. So let's watch these appalling beta males over at the CBC in French, the Radio Canada. Let's just watch this, and as a woman, your ovaries are going to dry up and blow away as you watch these appalling beta men. There's nothing less appealing as a woman than a man like this. Let's watch.
Ben, je commence à vous parler aujourd'hui d'une grande enquête de Rebel News. Vous vous souvenez du chanteur Sean Feucht, un chanteur de type MAGA qui est venu chanter, je ne sais pas comment le prononcer, il est venu chanter dans une église de Montréal cet été après avoir été banni de quelques autres endroits. Mais sa venue avait fait beaucoup jaser. Quelqu'un avait lancé une bombe fumigène pendant le concert. Rebel News avait promis une récompense pour qui allait identifier cette personne. Et il semble qu'il y ait un snitch qui se soit manifesté, comme l'expliquait Alexa Lavoie.
Chez Rebel News, nous avons fait ce que la police de Montréal aurait dû faire. Nous avons lancé une campagne de récompense pour identifier et retrouver le criminel qui pensait pouvoir s'en tirer après avoir attaqué une église à l'aide de dispositifs incendiaires. Non seulement nous l'avons trouvé, mais dans le processus, nous avons peut-être découvert une grave faille en matière de sécurité nationale.
Rien de moins, oui. Pendant qu'elle parle, on nous montre d'ailleurs des images de l'attaque où on voit le chanteur qui tient le fameux dispositif incendiaire, c'est-à-dire une petite grenade qui fait de la fumée rose. Puis il a l'air à trouver ça bien drôle, le chanteur. Le présumé grenadier serait un employé d'une base militaire, selon Rebel News. D'ailleurs, c'est probablement au ministère de la Défense qui a appris à manipuler cette dangereuse arme.
Est-ce pour cela qu'il savait manipuler des dispositifs incendiaires? Et quel type de formation est donnée dans l'armée pour rendre possible ce type d'attaque?
Oui, ils ont probablement des cours sur le déploiement tactique de bombes à saveur de fraises. Bref, ils ont trouvé le gars en question et sur les 17 minutes du reportage, il y en a peut-être 12 où elle fait juste le suivre avec sa photo imprimée en lui posant des questions, mais lui, il répond jamais.
La photo est pas mal ressemblante, hein? Est-ce que vous trouvez? Trouvez-vous qu'elle est très ressemblante? On peut le mettre à côté de vous. Trouvez-vous qu'elle vous ressemble, cette image, monsieur?
Et là, elle appelle la police, mais la police finit par conclure que c'est elle qui est un petit peu trop gossante, lui dit d'arrêter, mais tout d'un coup, il y a comme des dos dans bicycle à pédale qui arrivent et qui attaquent l'influenceuse rebelle.
Décalif! Décalif! Ah ouais, décalif! Décalif! Hey! Décalif!
Hey, c'est quoi ton problème?
Décalif!
Est-ce que c'est ton ami? Est-ce que c'est ça? Vous êtes un Antifa, monsieur?
Bon, ça finit pas mal toujours comme ça, les reportages de Rebel News, bizarrement. Pourtant, elle reste quand même polie. Elle l'appelle Monsieur l'Antifa. D'ailleurs, c'est un peu la convergence des forces du mal, ça, un antifasciste à vélo. Et en plus, il sera un membre de l'armée woke.
Cette faille en matière de sécurité nationale est-elle le fruit de la dérive idéologique woke de l'armée? Antifa n'est pas qu'une idéologie marginale. C'est un réseau dangereux d'extrémistes prêts à recourir à la violence. C'est d'ailleurs pourquoi le président Donald Trump a désigné Antifa comme organisation terroriste. Mais que fait le gouvernement libéral ici au Canada? De façon choquante, il semble employer ces extrémistes au sein même des institutions fédérales chargées de notre sécurité nationale.
Oui, pendant que M. Trump condamne les Antifa, Carney les engage. Bref, je pense qu'il y a effectivement une histoire là-dedans. Le gars qui travaille pour l'armée lance des fumigènes, les gars masqués qui arrivent en vélo. C'est quand même inquiétant. Ça ferait au pire un bon épisode d'anti-gang, mais c'est très quand même difficile de prendre tout ça.
That's appalling. These grown men see a journalist, and a woman at that, get assaulted on the street by Antifa on bikes, and they snicker. And you know what? You can be appalling, you can be disgusting, you can have bad opinions. This is a free country, at least for now. I don't want to pay for it. But these absolute losers and apologists for violence committed against women get $1.4 billion a year in your tax dollars, plus exclusive government contracts for advertising. And they're going to get another $150 million per year from Mark Carney going forward. And I'm sure it will increase every year, hence performance bonuses. But this is what you're paying for. They get to be terrible. I just don't think that the Canadian public wants to pay for it. And let me remind you, while they laugh at this violence committed against Alexa, they quite literally called the RCMP because during the debates commission chaos over 2 days, Ezra approached Rosie Barton while not on air and said, hey, I'd like to just clear up some things that you're saying because they're wrong. And by the way, would you like to join me in the fat challenge? Because I think he said that she was eating her feelings or something. And I believe there's some truth to that. They called the RCMP. They set up like an RCMP wall of cops to make sure that, I don't know, I guess Ezra didn't approach them while they were off air asking for the right of reply, which is proper journalism, right? If you're talking about someone, you should offer them the right of reply to hear both sides. Otherwise, you know, you might be committing libel, telling lies. And CBC's ombudsman actually did find that that was true, that they were committing lies and that they had never seen so many complaints in the same amount of time. except for their debate coverage. But anyways, my point is they called the cops because Ezra said, maybe Rosie, you're eating your feelings and I'm trying to not eat my feelings. And why don't you join me in that? They called the cops. And, but the CBC soft-handed beta men, they just laugh off what happened to Alexa. It's revolting. Do we want to, guys in the control room? Yeah, look at these losers. You can see the cops. Oh, sorry, go back. Yeah, so you can see the cops lined up behind them. And they called those cops in, and they say on air, the cops are here to protect us because it's so chaotic and it's so dangerous. The chaos and the danger was like Ezra's saying, Rosie, I think you're eating your feelings. Join me in the fat challenge. And it was not on air. Otherwise, you guys would have seen it at home. Like it wasn't on air. So sure, whatever, you losers. Do we want to go and just check out what's happening on Drea's feed, guys? Let's go to that. Because Drea had to pop off. She was on the Ostrich farm. She says on her X account that she has breaking Ostrich farm news. SWAT team down the road, farmers making an announcement. She's live. Let's just cut to that real quick.
Quick. Okay, so we're just going to come together in agreement that we pray a special hedge of protection around this family, this farm, and every individual coming and going from here. Every single being on this land right now, and the ones that are praying behind the scenes, Lord, we just pray a special hedge of protection around everybody involved, worldwide. Protect their spirits, keep them going. There's a fight against us. Keep them strong in you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. In your mighty name, we thank you for the protection. Amen.
Amen. Can I ask
Amen.
Katie, please?
That was it. But we can do another one.
Come on.
We can pray all day long.
She is the family.
We will pray all day long today.
Eyes on the hunters. Eyes on
the hunters.
Yeah.
All right.
On the hunters.
Offering. All right. Drea's on the scene. If you want to go back and watch what she's up to, looks like they're just sort of on high alert because the SWAT team was spotted down the road. Drea's covering that. You can find it at her X account. She goes live whenever something interesting pops off there. It's Drea Humphrey. That's it. And we also do our best to restream any of her lives to our YouTube page, so you won't miss a thing there. I have a hard out at the top of the hour, but I think I could get to just one more thing. Do we want to go to what do you guys want to talk about? We can talk about Wab Canoe thinking words are violence. We can talk about Michelle Rumpel-Garner. You know, I think maybe that's one. Let's go to Althea Raj. So I'm not a fan of government money going to energy projects. Why? Because I think there's a lot of money in the energy sector. They'd love to invest in Canada. Unfortunately, we have too many stupid rules, and so they don't. They would rather go to places like Nigeria and pay off the local Christian kidnapping warlord to get a pipeline project done, or to Iran, line the pockets of a mullah, because it's easier to do business with those guys than in Mark Carney's Canada, where you have pipeline projects suspended through an activist court, through anti-pipeline legislation, tanker bans, emissions caps, carbon taxes. It's a never-ending host of problems, especially when, and we are the world's third largest proven oil reserves, and yet we can't get a pipeline built. Like, what a clown show is this? And southern Saskatchewan shares an oil field, the Bakken, with North Dakota. And so if you are a major world energy producer and you're looking at Saskatchewan and you're like, Scott Moe's lovely, but the feds have all these rules in place, and so we can get a project done maybe in 10 years from now, or we could just drill baby drill, or frack baby frack, I should say, in North Dakota. Where are you gonna go? Makes perfect sense, right? So then Mark Carney said, oh, no, I'm different. I'm gonna bring in Bill C-5. We're going to fast track approvals for projects that are in the nation's interest. And all the Conservatives got excited. They said, yeah, that's awesome. We're finally going to get some pipelines built. Well, what Conservatives think is in the nation's interest versus what the Liberals think is in the nation's interest are two different things. You're going to see nothing but farmland being destroyed by solar panels, and you're not going to get small footprint SAGD sites going, and then that oil produced headed through BC for export. And that's exactly what Alberta proposed. They said, we will put some money, the province of Alberta, and I hate the idea of spending money on this, but I think they knew that it's probably never going to work. We're going to call the feds bluff on C5. So Danielle Smith makes an announcement, says, we're going to throw some money behind a pipeline project, go east to west. We're going to take the shortest route because it's going to be fastest to build. We need a pipeline project. Okay. Immediately, David Eby, the NDP premier of BC, said, the hell you are. And so if that's the case, why are we even a country if we're going to act like a bunch of Balkan states, right? Like, what's the point of being in a confederation? Are you trying to get us to leave here in Alberta? Don't threaten me with a good time. Because if we were, an independent country, we could negotiate headed through, go through Montana and then just go to the East Coast that way. And we wouldn't have to fight with the NDPers to give us access to a port. And so anyways, they're discussing this on CBC last night. And Althea Raj, who I believe was, look at these absolute homogenous potatoes. I never stop being amazed by how the first three look like the same potato left outside for a while. They sort of, it's the same fruit decaying. This is terrible. And then, of course, Althea Raj, the one on the end, she looks like a younger version of the first three. She was Justin Trudeau's biographer. They're discussing Alberta calling the feds bluff and saying, yeah, well, C5, that doesn't mean that Alberta's going to get a pipeline if BC doesn't want it. So what was the point of all of this anyway? Let's watch.
Well, so Mark Carney did repeat that to caucus on Wednesday, that if this, basically that this is kind of a half-baked project and that if British Columbia does not want it, it's not going to go forward. But I don't know if that's really what he's telling Alberta, because behind, like in the quarters of power here, we keep hearing that they're ready to lift the emissions cap on the oil and gas sector as long as Danielle Smith is really fully committed to the Pathways Plus project, which is which found its way on the first tranche of projects. And if they raise the industrial carbon price and bring in the methane regulations, it seems like they're kind of doing a nudge, nudge, wink, wink. So she's not wrong to kind of force him to stake out a position. I think there's a lot of Liberals who would want to know actually where Mark Carney stands. And I'm not sure that they can kick that can, maybe they can kick it down for a few more months, but that's about it.
Okay.
So what's the moral of the story? Mark Carney is a two-faced liar, and everybody who thought C5 was effective would do anything, fell for it. And I'm proud to say I did not. So, and this sort of stuff is going to push more people reluctantly into the separatist camp, because a lot of people were willing to say, okay, Mark Carney is different than Justin Trudeau. P.S. he's not. And he is more pragmatist, and despite his green manifesto called Values, he is a finance guy, and he knows that, in the best interest of Canada, we should be building pipelines. And of course, that's not going to be the case. Is meet the new boss, same as the old boss. And a lot of people who are holding out hope that Mark Carney would be different are now looking at separatism and independence, whatever that looks like, as the more reasonable alternative to whatever this broken confederation is. Because for Alberta, we've got Manitoba saying probably not. We've got Quebec saying definitely not. So we don't have access that way. And we don't have access to the West now. And so when people are saying, well, what if we just become independent or even Americans? Then we have access to everything south. And the Americans would be, I think, delighted to have us, or at least be able to negotiate with us as an independent state. Okay, I'm going to wrap up the show because I have got to get to the student journalism conference. All those young people are probably waiting for me. Let's go through some of the chats. Oh, Silver Feet first. Okay. Day 5. Silver Feet each day has been sending us DEI projects. He says, the lib enemy almost caught me. She's married to me. I have found a 50p Government of Canada manager, 50 page, Government of Canada manager training doc, and it would be a shame not to share all their hard work with Sheila. The subject line will be Silver Feet. Cannot wait. Send it to Sheila at rebelnews.com. Lise and I will do a dramatic reading around a campfire of it. Okay, let's see. Sevenfold, 777, $5. In other news, cops continue to investigate themselves and find no wrongdoing. The government does the same thing. That's a government thing. I investigated myself and I found no wrongdoing. News Now, Canadian Independent Media 1 gives us $2. I have a trial date set for November 25th, November 26th in Calgary. Is that, Efron, help me out. Is Yaniv. Anyways, your name is on the tip of my tongue. All right. I think that's the show. Are we wrapped up? Do we have any news from Drea? She's not live anymore. Please follow along Drea Humphrey on X, but also if you are subscribed to us on YouTube. If you're watching us right now, why aren't you subscribed to us on YouTube? We restream all of the live there because I know some of you that you're not on X as much as I am, and I'm too much on there anyway. You can watch, we restream everything so you won't miss a thing. I think that's the show for today, the show for this week. I don't know who's hosting the show on Monday because I will be, if the ostriches make it through the weekend. Heck, if I make it through the weekend, I'll be en route to the ostrich farm to give Drea a hand. So you'll have a different host on Monday. But once I get situated, I think I'll continue to host the live streams from there. I think that's the show for today, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, bearing with us as we had to have Drea exit the show and letting me wrap up by myself. We'll see everybody back here same time, maybe not the same place next week. But as I've been saying, if you find us offensive, maybe don't find us at all.